Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Gentleman from Texas is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This is the final amendment to the bill. It will not kill the bill. If adopted, the bill will immediately proceed to final passage as amended. Much has been made of election security as of late, much of it for good reason. In the end, these concerns, the concerns that many Americans rightfully share, are built around the fundamental notion that our vote should count. Our vote should mean something, and we should know that when we cast it, it is sacred and unchanging. Our vote is a signal of what direction we want our country to move toward. And that vote is an element of trust that we place in the men or women elected to take it in that direction. We vote because this country is governed by the people, by the citizens of this country. And we in this body humbly serve at their pleasure. The quickest way to erode a democracy, erode faith in our institutions, is to erode that trust, erode the notion that your vote truly counts. The truth is, this is already happening. In places like San Francisco, Democrats have fought hard to ensure that U.S. citizens must share their civic duty, their vote, with illegal immigrants. The city of San Francisco has effectively canceled out the votes of its citizens and replaced it with illegals. When I say it out loud, it sounds like I'm making it up. Because what kind of government would cancel out the votes of its own citizens and replace them with non-citizens, but not just any non-citizens, ones who entered our country illegally? It is with this in mind, this sacred duty to protect our citizens, protect their vote, protect their voice, that I propose this motion to recommit. This motion to recommit would show the American people that despite the deep and growing differences between us, we can at least agree that the people who vote for us are citizens of this country. Madam Speaker, the House is not in order.
House will come to order.
This is a simple affirmation. It's an affirmation of the fact that the elected representatives of this body answer to the citizens of this country who voted for us. And we will not stand by and let their voices be muted. We will not let their trust be eroded. We will not let our democracy be questioned. Last year, Congress voted on this very idea. 49 Democrats crossed the aisle to vote with us. It should not be a partisan idea that the people who do not legally live in our country cannot legally vote in our elections. If you are not legally here, if you entered our country against the laws and wishes of our citizens, then you should not vote for representation in our government, diluting the voices of Americans. I'm proposing this MTR not because it feels good, not because we want to attack anyone, but because it's clear to all of us that voter integrity actually needs to be defended. It has become clear because San Francisco is not the only municipality that has fallen into this radicalism. Other cities have done or attempted to do the same. The men and women in this body are here because we were duly elected as such. Madam Speaker, the House is not in order.
House will come to order. Gentleman may proceed.
Our citizens expect much of us. They expect us to protect their most fundamental rights, the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And they expect us to respect their voice. And often the only way they have to express that voice is through their vote. If we no longer agree to protect that voice, as we did last Congress, if we don't, in this moment, agree that their voice should not be canceled out, but protected, then I worry a great deal about our democracy. I worry that radicalism has made its way into this sacred body, as it already has in so many other places across our great country. I urge my colleagues to vote for this motion to recommit. Vote to protect the voices of your constituents. Vote to preserve the notion that our nation's government is elected by and only by the citizens of this country. Anything less is a disservice to the very people who put us here. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Gentleman yields back. House will come to order. For what purpose does the gentlelady from California rise?
To claim the time in opposition.
Gentlelady is recognized for 5 minutes.
H.R. 1 already prevents non-citizens from voting in federal elections, whether they are here lawfully or undocumented. In fact, the motion to recommit notices that. They say federal law prohibits non-citizens from voting in federal elections. H.R. 1 utilizes the authority in Article 1, Section 4 to extend in federal elections the opportunity for every American to vote. This motion to recommit is an effort to divert us from the mission that we are on to expand voting rights to every American citizen in federal elections. I urge its defeat, and I now yield to the gentleman from New York, Mr. Rose.
What period of time? Gentleman's recognized.
Madam Speaker, I rise today in opposition to this motion. I rise today as a new member who ran for office on cleaning up our system. And admittedly, I rise today as someone who has voted for Republican MTRs in the past. In fact, I was eager to hear how my colleagues and friends across the aisle would propose a solution today for how they're going to finally drain the swamp. I was eager to hear for how they would protect and enshrine the rights and freedoms and liberties that we all are endowed in the Constitution. But what they have given us today does nothing to drain the swamp, nothing to uphold our freedoms. Only in Washington would we see a group of people actively trying to sabotage anti-corruption measures. This is a political stunt meant to divide us, meant to sow hatred, and it's a game, nothing less, nothing less. This right here is why the American people hate politics, and honestly, if this is your strategy to win future elections, we wish you Godspeed, because it will never work. It will never work. Because the question before us today, the thing that this joke of an MTR that is seeking to distract us from is, whose side are you on? Let's show the American people that this is the people's house, not the house of corporate interests and lobbyists and dark money. And with that, again, I stand in opposition to this motion, and I yield the remainder of my time.
Gentleman yields back. Gentlelady from California.
Madam Speaker, may I ask how much time remains?
The House will come to order.
Mr. Rose yielded back to me. Mr. Rose yielded back to me, and I am
The gentlelady will suspend. The House will come to order. Gentlelady has 2.5 minutes remaining.
At this point, Madam Speaker,
I'm sorry.
I will
Will
yield.
the gentlelady state her parliamentary inquiry?
Pardon me?
Gentlelady's recognized.
I will yield the balance of my time to the gentleman from Georgia, Mr. Lewis, the hero of the voting rights movement.
Gentleman's recognized for 2.5 minutes. The House will come to order. Gentleman's recognized.
Madam Speaker, I believe in the way of peace, in the way of love. I believe in the philosophy and the discipline of nonviolence. Can we come together and support a simple piece of legislation to open up the political process and let all of our people come in? I ask you to remember what I said a few moments ago. With this vote, you have an opportunity to be a headlight and not a tail light. Some of our colleagues are complaining that we didn't have enough time. We have the time. This piece of legislation was introduced more than 7 years ago, and the other party didn't do anything. We're prepared to act. We are prepared to open up the political process and let all of the people come in. It is the right thing to do. It is a good thing to do to set our country on a path that can be a model for the rest of the world. And with that, I yield back.
Gentlelady yields back. Without objection.